What was the juiciest rumor at your school that turned out to be 100% true? Story 1. Probably not the juiciest thing, but the one I remember because of how I found out. Some of our high school library's walls were weird, sort of a lowercase B shape, so there was this empty space behind the bookshelves up against the walls. Tunnels, basically. Word was students were having some spicy times in there. I worked in the library, had moved the shelves, cleaned the tunnels, found used condoms. It was an all-boys school at the time, if that matters. Mind, the condoms weren't the worst thing, really. The leftover food debris in there was worse, stuff like chicken bones. Edit. Couple years later, I was talking with an ex-schoolmate. Another guy from our graduating class comes in. I hate that guy, my friend says. He's effing gay. Dude, you're gay. There's gay and they're so freaking gay, other gay people think you're too freaking gay. Turns out that Jen had been one of the entrepreneur fellows selling services for a few dollars ago. I wasn't shocked since I already had some ideas, but I was surprised that the going rate had been so cheap. You know you've hit rock bottom when you'll give a blowy for a piece of fried chicken. Either that or some awfully darn good chicken. He wasn't doing it for the money. Now I kinda want some chicken. Story 2. The cheerleading team was doing coke off the toilet seats. Edit. For everyone saying the tank would be better, maybe my high school was unusual, but we had the same high-power flush toilets like other bathrooms. They had no tanks, just the base of the toilet and the seat. Our bathrooms had no doors to the entrance, probably as a deterrent to this behavior, so the counters were a no-go. The toilet paper dispensers were those large circular ones. Believe me, I agree with those of you saying it's gross and idiotic, but there weren't that many alternatives in the bathroom. We weren't allowed to have bags or backpacks with us, so no one carried a purse. And they did it in the middle of class, so bringing a textbook would be suspect. Also, the main offenders were too young to drive, so they didn't have keys necessarily. And this was pre-smartphone and before the average high school student even had a cell phone. Edit 2. Really glad the cheerleaders' collective idiocy led to my highest rated comment. That's disgusting. Why not use the sink or the toilet paper dispenser? Surely there had to be a better surface to use than a poop-smeared public toilet seat, so it's not as visible from the sink and the toilet paper dispenser usually has an angle. I mean, I think the best thing to do would just not do coke in the bathroom. Or at all. Story 3. New kid comes to high school, has a funny accent because his parents were missionaries traveling all over the world. He was actually kinda cool, spoke at least 4 different languages, English, Spanish, Russian, and Mandarin. He was super polite and everyone liked him. Of course he had haters, mainly the so-called bullies, a concept he never understood. Rumor began that he was well versed in many forms of martial arts. He never denied or admitted to them. One of the bullies decided to find out. He was much bigger than the new kid. New kid did everything in his power to not escalate the fight. Even took a punch from said bully. Well, guess the rumor was true. Not only did the new kid beat his butt, the bully pooped himself. Most awesome thing I ever saw in high school. Edit. Unfortunately, I was never really close to him, but I had heard from another friend of mine that he ended up moving after high school. Nobody seems to know anything else. I barely remember his first name. It was not an easy one, let alone his last name. So he will live on in memory as that one foreign kid that nobody messed with. Not only did the kid beat his butt, the bully pooped himself. Thank you. This has made it onto my list of favorite things to look at when I'm old. Sounds like such a cool kid. I can't even imagine the other stories people might have of him. Story 4. The music teacher in my high school was rumored to have been fired for sending inappropriate pics to a female student. There had been subs taking his place for nearly a month. The principal said he was too ill to come into work, and eventually another rumor that he had cancer started spreading around. He had been bald longer than anyone could remember. If you asked any of the school staff what was going on, they would just say, "He's just too sick right now. We don't know when he'll be returning." One day in my physics class, everyone in the class pestered the teacher for the whole period until he finally gave in. Some people were still trying to argue the cancer story. One student asked the physics teacher, "Did he send nudes to that girl?" And he finally said, "That thing you think happened? It happened." The student said, "So he did?" And the teacher just simply nodded his head yes. A month or so later, the music teacher showed up in school. Everyone was running up to him in the hallway asking what happened. He dodged every question, and the last thing I heard him say was, "I'm just here to get some things." He didn't teach his class that day, and I never saw him again. Story 5. Our math teacher in high school had a student teacher she was helping train to take over for when she went on maternity leave. The student teacher was maybe 20, 21 and a fairly attractive young woman. So naturally, all the guys in class had a crush on her. One guy in particular was a super senior and 18, 19. He flirted with her non-stop and she would act super embarrassed and blush in a non-committal way to tell him to knock it off. I'm sure you see where this is going. Well, towards the end of the semester, he was bragging on about going on a date with her, how they went to the movies, then he went back to her place and they had some spicy time. We all thought he was full of S. But the rumor got around the school and of course the teachers and faculty found out. Then one day she was just gone and we had substitute teachers for the rest of the semester. We all knew what happened. Looking back, it's kind of a shame that she probably wrecked her future teaching career. Yeah, teachers shouldn't start that young with people they were allowed to bang a few weeks ago. Story 6. There was a rumor that her female English teacher was sleeping with the starting QB and that her youngest child was not her husband's but the QB's. She was caught sleeping with a different one of her students years later. and it is now known she has slept with a number of former students, including the QB. Now people really think her youngest kid isn't her husband's. Edit: QB equals quarterback. Sorry to my non-Americans on the thread. This is by far the most attention that a post of mine has received, and I love that it turned into a Blue Mountain State thread. Go Goats! Alex Moran? Alex would never start. It's clearly radon. Story 7. The wood tech teacher was married to the French teacher. They had a child. The PE teacher fricked the French teacher. The wood tech teacher went into the PE department and threatened to beat the lights out of the PE teacher with a cricket bat. I believe this was during a normal school day, but it was before my year started there. A second PE teacher got involved and stopped it, so everyone kept their jobs. Later on, the wood tech teacher married the geography teacher, and they had 2 kids, whilst a third PE teacher cheated on her husband with the second PE teacher. And every Wednesday, an hour before lunch, I would see PE teachers 2 and 3 through the window of my science classroom. They would get in a car and leave together. Sometimes I would see them come back, and sometimes I wouldn't. I jokingly pointed it out to people before anyone else caught on, and later they became a couple that was known to students. Too long didn't read. 6 teachers, 3 pregnancies, 2 affairs, 1 angry husband with a cricket bat, and a partridge in a pear tree. Wow, what are they putting in the PE teacher's water? Story 8. That there is an underground bunker from the Cold War era below the school. Not only is it there, but it turns out you can access it from the PE changing room through a secret trap door. Edit: it's in Krakow, Poland. Because so many of you are curious, and it looks like there's actually lots of schools that have one. Edit 2. Also, it is confirmed to be a bunker, but it was built before the school existed and was most likely empty by previous owners of the building. Oh, finally, one that's interesting and not about spicy time, cheating, coming in the ranch bottle, or doing other horrible nasty stuff. Did you get to go in? Any cans of peaches and whatnot? Edit: coming in the ranch. Not OP, but there was an enormous bunker under my old middle school. I got to go down there with a friend who was on yearbook. The school was closing, moved to a new building, and she was going to take pictures. It was creepy. Lots of tunnels leading to mini bunkers, all stuffed with industrial-looking cans of rations, and yes, peaches. There was a whole room full of toilet paper. I took a roll as a souvenir. I also grabbed a massive container of petroleum jelly for some reason. Guess I thought it was funny. Middle schoolers are dumb. Hey, there are many good reasons to take a massive container of petroleum jelly. None I can think of right now, but I'm sure there's many. Story 9. We had a Spanish teacher who kept giving random financial/business advice during classes. One day he tabbed over to a stock trading homepage and accidentally revealed that he was a millionaire. Rumors around his past started circulating. Around graduation, some students found old newspaper articles confirming that he was a former meth dealer who had spent time in jail. Was a serious cool guy actually. That would be a good Breaking Bad spinoff. Actually, that's one sharp drug dealer. Made the money, served some time, invested the money that wasn't taken by the government, and is teaching. Story 10. Some kid in my year/grade found nude pictures of his art teacher, female, on a school camera when he went to take pictures of his painting. Didn't have a clue what to do about it, so just started telling people and no one believed him. Couple days later, he's pulled out of class and had to see the school headmaster about it. They found the camera and the photos, and somehow the teacher was unaware whatsoever. Thing is, teacher didn't get any reprimands, but the kid got excluded a couple days for spreading true rumors about the teacher. Doesn't seem fair. Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. Heard his parents got involved with it, and then a couple weeks later it was as if it never happened. Safe to say he pulled out of art class and changed course. Story 11. My 6th grade math teacher was super creepy. He would assign seats randomly, but always place the girls in the front of the classroom. Did the whole lingering stare thing and was always trying to get people to hang out with him during lunch. I never did, but he was married and has a baby, so no one really suspected him of anything other than being creepy. Fast forward about 7 years, the teacher ended up being an offender. He had an ongoing relationship with a girl that began when she was 13. Based on what I could see from the various news articles, she was either in my year or the year before me. The police came to arrest him in the middle of his class, cuffed him in front of his students, and then had him walk throughout campus in cuffs to get to their car. I don't feel bad for him at all, but I can't imagine how his wife and son must feel. Edit: for everyone asking, this was in the Bay Area, California. The same exact thing happened at my school, except he was an art teacher. What is wrong with the world? Well, the thing is, people with an unhealthy attraction to children or teens will look for jobs involving them. Story 12. We had a running joke around my school for years. If someone asked, could you insert question here, most people would reply, I'll do it for a bag of Doritos. This was a school-wide insert joke because a girl was caught sucking this guy's member in the bathroom. Some authority figure had the bright idea of asking why the hormonal teens would allow this. She said she would do it for 3 bags and a bag of Doritos. No one ever saw the girl again, but the guy became a legend. Can't believe the authority figure asked why the teens would allow it. Like, you're the authority figure. That's your job to stop those sort of things. Story 13. The physics teacher was inappropriately texting and sleeping with one of his students. Not sure if she was 18 or not at the time. Although honestly, no one was surprised. He was a little too friendly towards the girls and changed his pants in the back of the classroom once. He ended up leaving for personal reasons over Thanksgiving break, but of course it got out. Sadly, his wife was in her third trimester, which probably didn't make it any easier for her to find out her husband was sleeping with a high school student. Story 14. That there was a girl in the boys' bathroom giving BJs for $10. There really was, and she got expelled. $10? Way too cheap considering the risk. She could do 10 a day every day knowing how long teenage boys last, and probably does during lesson time, which is 100 per day, 500 per week. More if she does it out of school too, which is $24K per year tax-free. Good money there. And in clear she got ratted out, probably by some lad she didn't suck. Story 15. Teacher from my high school. Girls were creeped out by him and constantly reported him for making them uncomfortable. He was quite obese, belly hung to his knees, so the school and other students wrongly assumed these girls were being rude. 6 years later, he's in prison after being caught with child porn on his computer, alongside upskirt photos of girls from my school. Are you from Victoria, Australia by any chance? Because I have the same exact story. Story 16. Two sports teachers were having an affair with each other, even though one of their spouses was also a sports teacher in the same school using the same dinky office. Rumor was confirmed where the two dudes had a fist fight in the basketball court. I feel like every PE teacher I've ever had was plowing another member of staff. Edit. I should also mention I was homeschooled. Wow, not even homeschool is safe from unloyal PE teachers. Story 17. The art teacher was sleeping with both the history teacher and RE teacher. She was married to the chemistry teacher who she previously had an affair with while married to the woodwork teacher. I believe she married the RE teacher sometime after I left school. Edit. A few people have asked what RE is. Religious education, which state schools in the UK used to have to teach. Taught by an atheist, which was refreshing. This is better than a Mexican soap opera. Esta noche en la escuela dramatica. I know I butchered that Spanish and I am so sorry. Story 18. We had a study hall teacher who was a huge harasser with a handlebar mustache who was retired Navy. Turned out he was a hardcore gay/BDSM corn star in the early 2000s. He got fired even though it was long before his time teaching. I ended up writing a letter to the administration, county, and their attorneys, but he stayed fired. I guess it would be hard to command respect from students when Googling his corn name immediately brought up a pic of his boys bound in leather. Story 19. Rumor had it that a teacher was having spicy time with some of his students that wanted higher grades. No one believed it to be true because he was married and just had his third baby. 100% true, and all the students were proud of it. He's still in jail 5 years later. Students were proud of it? I freaked the teacher for my B? Wait up, I'm an A-level F here, bro. Story 20. Two teachers that were married to each other were sleeping with students. The husband was the first to do it, and the wife found out and slept with some of her students as revenge. Also, the resource officer was sleeping with some of the 18-year-old seniors. All got confirmed when they were fired for it. Well, the teachers got fired. The office got moved to bicycle patrol. The officer got moved to bicycle patrol? I think he's written enough. Wouldn't a better revenge for the wife be to report the crime her husband was committing instead of committing the crime herself? Story 21. This one girl would make those colorful friendship bracelets made out of needlepoint floss, one for every guy she gave a BJ to. There were lots of bracelets. Edit. I sure freaking hope Emily doesn't have Reddit. Edit 2. Just because Emily gave mad BJs doesn't mean I will. Get your bracelets elsewhere, like some kind of club or something, right? It was pretty funny. The guys didn't start figuring out until there was quite a large number of handmade bracelets on dudes who wouldn't normally be wearing anything of the sort. Who made you that? Emily? Story 22. The principal made a corn tape with a student when he was still just a teacher and had it hidden on school property. It all came out when the vice principal tried to use it as leverage to steal his job. The principal was forced to resign. The student in the video was 18, but the vice and the rest of the administration was fired for covering it up. But was the tape actually on school property? I get the vibe he'd be stupid enough to keep it in his desk. Stored in the VHS player. Nobody was searched there. Story 23. Also, some kid said he was going to unalive himself a bunch of times over getting worse grades than his little brother. And finally, one day, he jumped in front of a train on the tracks right behind the school. I heard some details of what the kid saw, and it was about as horrifying as you'd think. Dang, how would his brother feel? That poor freaking train driver, though. Edit. I could have worded this better than my 3 a.m. sleepless haze. Like, the train driver is just trying to do his job, and that happens out of his control. The effect that can have on a person's mental health can be devastating. I agree. I hope the train driver and the kid's family are doing okay. Story 24. Resource officer was a child harasser and then unalived his wife after he was fired. He fled as they still haven't found him over 10 years. He's on Marshall's top 15 most wanted list. His name was Dan Hears and his mother thinks he's dead. A computer tech teacher got caught having spicy time with a student. He was put on suspension while the investigation was conducted. He unalived himself by running his car into a tree. Story 25. A younger male teacher, upper 20s, newlywed, was having spicy time in his classroom during lunch with an older female teacher, married in her mid-40s. A student caught them and filmed them, pretty much blackmailed them into turning themselves in. At least he was effing a teacher and not a student. Well, that's a twist I could get behind. A student used blackmail to get the offenders to do the right thing for once. Story 26. That the school district security guard would let you get away with anything if you gave him some coke. He later got caught and fired for it. If anyone else went there, it was at Desert View High School in Tucson. Edit. I was talking about cocaine, not the soda for those who didn't realize that. And on a serious note, it's all about the Dr. P, and F the rest. Was Pepsi okay? Story 27. When I was in middle school, the big joke rumor was that two teachers were banging. Years later, everyone finds out that not only were they having an affair outside of their respective marriages, but that the male teacher was cheating on both women with a man. The female teacher moved away and ended her own life. The entire situation was unbelievably messy. Story 28. That within the first 2 weeks of the school starting and everyone meeting each other, one of the girls had spicy time with two guys who didn't really get along. So, she convinced them to make love, not war. I guess you can say she bridged the gap in their relationship. Story 29. A girl got caught giving her boyfriend a BJ in one of the stairwells of my high school. The government teacher, one of the most ultra-religious and pure-hearted individuals on earth, was the one who caught them. Ended up in the science class with the girl. She gave no fricks that she got caught and took her legend status like a champ. She still makes me laugh over a decade later. I feel so bad for the teacher that caught them. Of course, it had to be the most pure person ever. Story 30. There was a girl who wanted to lose her V-card, so she offered a guy a phone top-up to take her V-card and he did it. So hold on, this chick was like, yo, frick me and I'll pay your phone bill for the month? Dang, where's this kind of girl when I was in school? Story 31. The rumor was that a boys' gym teacher and a senior girl in my class were involved. They got married when we graduated. He was at least 10 years older than she was. Still together? For over 40 years now. Story 32. In middle school, a rumor floated around pretty much most of the school that the principal had a consistent record of SA. And what do you frickin' know? He got arrested for SA when I was a freshman in high school. It was all over the news and everything. Story 33. Spanish teacher was a former male corn star. La puta está en la biblioteca. Puta. ¿Dónde están mis pantalones? Editor, están. Again, so terribly sorry for my Spanish. Story 34. An abortion using a coat hanger where a student bled to death. It happened years before I attended the school and was the basis of the ghost sightings near the bathroom. Man, this is disturbing as hell. Story 35. The science teacher was a pedophile. Some kid found Viagra in his desk and he was put on admin leave when they found a used condom in his trash after the search. Then kids came forward. Was not pretty. Story 36. Some kids made special frosted brownies and gave them to another kid and he ate them. Ugh. Wow, you made these? Yes, I was up all night. Up all night for 10 minutes. Story 37. The male principal got caught fricking the male history teacher in his office. Both were married. Edit, principal, sorry. Their husbands must have been furious. Story 38. Very attractive married with kids PE teacher was fricking very attractive married with kid English teacher. We all thought they were just very flirty people, but lol, nope. Full on affair going on. Story 39. That a girl hid her pregnancy then unalived the baby. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe for more videos to come or else this spider will be in your bed tonight.